African Union Communications Early Warning and Intelligence, commonly known as AUC3I, is an intelligence and security organization responsible for providing signals intelligence and information assurance to AU citizens, AU leadership, and AU armed forces. I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoy, an infantry officer. I am responsible for leading infantry soldiers at all levels of command in combined armed forces during missions on the ground. This is today's briefing. On the progress of the special military operation on the 9th of May, 2025. In accordance with the decision of the Supreme Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Russian Federation, based on humanitarian considerations, during the celebration of the 80th anniversary of the victory from midnight on May 8, groups of Russian troops in the Special Military Operations Zone continue to strictly observe the ceasefire and remain at previously occupied lines and positions. Despite the announcement of the ceasefire, the Ukrainian Armed Forces have not ceased combat operations against Russian troops. They have made 4 attempts to break through the state border of the Russian Federation in the Kursk and Belgorod regions, as well as 15 attacks. 1 reconnaissance-in-force in the areas of the settlements of Novoegorovka of the Luhansk People's Republic, Lepovo, Redkadub, Dzerzhinsk, Romanovka, Novolinovka, Marilyabovka, Lilyanovka, Elizavetovka, Troitskoy, Alexievka, Novo-Alexandrovka, and Veselo of the Donetsk People's Republic. Along the entire line of combat contact, Ukrainian units carried out 1,455 attacks from barrel artillery, tanks, and mortars on positions of our troops, as well as 23 using multiple launch rocket systems. In addition, 3,502 strikes and ammunition drops from unmanned aerial vehicles were carried out. A total of 5,026 ceasefire violations were recorded. In these conditions, the armed forces of the Russian Federation are responding in a mirror-like manner to violations of the ceasefire regime by the Ukrainian Armed Forces and will continue to act in accordance with the evolving situation, responding to all criminal encroachments by the Kiev regime. Before the ceasefire came into effect, from May 3rd to May 8th of this year, the armed forces of the Russian Federation carried out 6 group strikes with high-precision weapons and attack unmanned aerial vehicles, which resulted in the destruction of enterprises of the military-industrial complex of Ukraine, the infrastructure of military airfields, weapons and ammunition depots, storage sites and control points for unmanned boats and attack unmanned aerial vehicles, as well as temporary deployment points of Ukrainian armed formations and foreign mercenaries. Units of the North Group of Forces inflicted losses on formations of 4 mechanized, 2 airborne assault, motorized infantry, ranger brigades, an assault regiment of the Ukrainian Armed Forces and 3 territorial defense brigades over the course of a week in the area of responsibility of the North Group of Forces. The enemy's losses amounted to over 1,445 militants. 10 tanks, 34 combat armored vehicles, 95 cars, 24 field artillery guns, and 7 ammunition depots were destroyed. As a result of decisive actions by units of the West Group of Forces, the settlement of Lepovo in the Donetsk People's Republic was liberated. The manpower and equipment of 3 mechanized, mountain assault, airmobile, assault brigades of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, 2 territorial defense brigades, and a National Guard brigade were damaged. The enemy lost over 1,495 servicemen, 2 tanks, 10 armored combat vehicles, including 2 U.S.-made M113 armored personnel carriers, 2 multiple launch rocket system combat vehicles, 62 vehicles, and 26 field artillery guns, including 12 made by NATO countries. 8 electronic and counter-battery warfare stations, as well as 14 ammunition depots, were destroyed. Units of the Southern Group of troops occupied more advantageous lines and positions and defeated the formations of 6 mechanized, mountain assault, motorized infantry, airmobile brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, a Special Forces brigade, and a Territorial Defense brigade. Over the week, the losses of the Ukrainian armed formations in this direction amounted to more than 1,860 militants, a tank, 29 combat armored vehicles, including 2 Bradley infantry fighting vehicles, 9 M113 armored personnel carriers, and a US-made HMMWV armored car, as well as 2 Canadian-made Senator armored personnel carriers. 48 vehicles, 33 field artillery guns, including 2 Western-made ones, 2 electronic warfare stations, and 16 ammunition depots were destroyed. As a result of active actions by units of the Center Group of Forces, the settlements of Lasovka and Troitskoye of the Donetsk People's Republic were liberated. The manpower and equipment of 4 mechanized, 2 assault, airborne, and ranger brigades of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, a Marine brigade, a Special Forces brigade, and 2 National Guard brigades were damaged. That the enemy's losses amounted to 3,015 servicemen, 7 tanks, including 2 French-made AMX tanks, 22 combat armored vehicles, and a US-made HIMARS multiple launch rocket system launcher. 44 vehicles and 21 field artillery guns, including 3 Western-made ones, were destroyed. Units of the East Group of Forces continued to advance into the depths of the enemy's defense. They defeated the formations of 2 mechanized, Ranger, Airmobile, airborne assault brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, a Marine brigade and 2 territorial defense brigades. That the enemy lost more than 1,255 servicemen, a tank, 13 armored combat vehicles, 39 cars, 27 field artillery guns, including 6 produced by NATO countries. 6 electronic warfare stations were destroyed. Units of the Dnieper Group of Forces inflicted losses on the manpower and equipment of 3 mechanized mountain assault brigades, 3 coastal defense brigades of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, and 2 territorial defense brigades. That the Ukrainian Armed Forces lost over 410 servicemen, 3 combat armored vehicles, including an HMMWV armored vehicle, and a launcher for a US-made HIMARS multiple launch rocket system. 28 vehicles, 4 field artillery guns, 6 electronic warfare stations, and 11 ammunition depots were destroyed. Over the course of the week, air defense systems shot down 32 JDAM-guided aerial bombs, 14 US-made HIMARS multiple launch rockets, 8 UK-made Storm Shadow air-launched cruise missiles, 9 Neptune long-range guided missiles, and 1,615 aircraft-type unmanned aerial vehicles. Naval Aviation of the Black Sea Fleet destroyed 23 unmanned boats in the Black Sea. In total, since the beginning of the special military operation, the following have been destroyed: 662 aircraft, 283 helicopters, 56,506 unmanned aerial vehicles, 605 anti-aircraft missile systems, 23,249 tanks, and other armored combat vehicles, 1,560 combat vehicles of multiple launch rocket systems, 24,608 field artillery pieces and mortars, 35,193 units of special military vehicles. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you found it useful and informative. If you have any questions, please leave them below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.